Hello, people. It's your boy Osman back again with another Rival Fan podcast. As you can see, I'm in a different place. Yes, the Commonwealth Games are over, which means I am now back in Manchester, settling back in. So I do apologize for the delay. I'm just setting the setup. But anyways, as you can see from the title, Manchester United humiliated on the first day of the season. I'm not going to lie, when we first got this fixture, I thought we were going to win. I thought, no, what, it's going to be an open game. We probably ended up winning the game, but we'll get into that. I'm sure there's a lot to discuss. And also, Liverpool are battling it against Fulham. A bit of happiness for me, but of course, it doesn't really matter about them because we're still shit. So it is what it is. As always, make sure you slap a like, subscribe to the channel, get your comments in. It's going to be a roast of me today. Listen, we're all going to have a week like this, but today is my week because Manchester United got off to the best possible start, as you can imagine. On my left, we have got the homie. His team is flying, as always. Kish is in the building. Kish, how you doing, my guy?
I am very, very well. Completely the opposite to you, man. But we'll get into that very, very shortly because for once, it's not on my side where we're struggling. So I cannot wait to get into this segment.
Yes, it's gonna be a good show. I can assure you I'm gonna get cooked differently today. But listen, I'm ready. The boys have already warned me, so we'll see. But listen, the man is back in the building, new setting, same person. The homie is back. God and King is in the building, bro. I'm seeing the vintage Arsenal kit. It's looking nice, to be fair. But you know, we'll see. Oh God, how you doing? G?
I'm doing all right, I think, it's been a good weekend for all involved. Not Liverpool, not United, but, it's just good for the Prem to be back, though, man. All jokes aside, man, like, I don't know what I was going to do with myself, man. Like, just it was dragging out, man, but it's finally back. It's finally here. And we got ourselves off to a great start.
Must be nice. That it must be really nice. But listen, obviously, this is football. At the end of the day, we're all gonna have weeks like this, but we're gonna get into it. We're not gonna chat shit. We're just gonna get straight to the point. Manchester United humiliated at home. Let's not BS. It was a humiliation. Got absolutely outplayed by Brighton. I mean, very similar to last season when they violated us 4-0. I mean, they completely battered us that game, and I was extremely intrigued to see how we would fare. And to be quite honest, not much has changed. We got battered this game as well. Of course, we did improve in the second half. But listen, let's cut the BS. Let's get straight to it. Not gonna King. I'm gonna let you start because I feel like it's only right that you start. The Arsenal fans are already in here. They're ready for me, bro. Chat to me. Manchester United won. Brighton 2.
Do you know what it is about United, yeah? Throughout the days of our rivalry, yeah, we fell before you did, yeah? What I've always found with United fans, to cover up their shortcomings, they always turn around and point and say, but Arsenal, yeah? And last season, you kept that tradition alive. You propped up these man here, yeah, on that side. You propped up these Spurs man, yeah, to deflect from the fact, yeah, that you finished 11 points below our kids, yeah? We weren't expected to be in a top 4 race. If you said to any well-to-do Arsenal fan last season what our expectations were, it was at best get back in Europe. And if you asked me at the beginning of last season, I would have said, I don't even know if we're going to do that based on the guys that we bought. We exceeded our expectations. Did we drop the ball at the end? Absolutely, But do we have a young and inexperienced squad? Absolutely. Are we going in the right direction? Absolutely. And you know what? To cover up your shame, yeah, you man came at us as if it was you that won that top 4 trophy, not Spurs. And you made that hella personal. Yeah, all you Man United fans made that hella personal. When you did that last summer, yeah, bro, I said straight away, coming into this season, yeah, any chance these man drop the ball, this face is going to be there, yeah? And what did you do? First game of the season, you gave me a tapping. You gave me an absolute tapping on the opening day of the season against Brighton. Come on, man. Like, I was expecting it to come a little later. I was thinking the Liverpool game, like maybe Brighton. I thought I actually predicted you to win this game. Yeah. But I've taken all this shameless energy, yeah, that you lot save for our fan base, yeah. And now, yeah, now it's our turn, yeah. Because all we were hearing from Man United fans is in our worst season, we managed to finish in the same European competition as you, yeah, in one of your best seasons in years. That's all we were hearing. It's a new season now, yeah. And on top of that, all we ever hear from rival fans is eighth, then fifth, without context. Do you know what, Kish? Do you know what United fans have been saying to me all weekend? It's a rebuild. These things take time. But they spent the last 3 years saying to me, eighth, then fifth, with no context. Now, come on, make that make sense.
Can I just ask you one question? Because you're making some good points. But can you just remind me how many games we played this season?
You played one game.
Why are you getting so carried away? Like, I'm loving it. Don't get me wrong. I love that you're bringing smoke because that's what I want. But what I will say is you did lose the first 3 games of the last season and you still finished above us. Look, at the end of the day, I know it's embarrassing. I understand why you're cooking me. That's fine. But for me, I honestly, God, I wasn't even that mad. Like, I know that's going to be a bit of a cop-out answer. But the reason I wasn't mad was because I think it might be a blessing in disguise, to be honest. Like, and I know this is not going to make sense. It's going to sound like a cop-out because obviously it's the first game of the season. You need to start the season the right way. But for me, because we've still got 3 weeks left in the window, and I genuinely mean this, I'm not saying it because we lost, but because we've got 3 weeks left and we lost in such a humiliating manner. There's Man United fans in the chat telling me it's not humiliating. For me, we got absolutely battered. The scoreline does not paint the story at all for me. We were outplayed from pretty much most of the game, in my personal opinion, from what I've seen anyways. But the point I'm making is the board, and as you've seen the last couple of days, although they're the wrong players, the board are panicking basically. They know there's no way on God's given earth that we can go into the season with this crop of players because we're going to get battered fairly regularly. The fact that Brighton have done this to us and Welbeck was the best Man United player on the pitch at Old Trafford is embarrassing. So I'm looking at it from a positive standpoint. But what you're saying regarding Man United fans cooking you, bro, that's part of football Twitter. Like, at the end of the day, you know, I will cook you every day of the week. I'm going to be shameless all season, bro. I'm telling you right now, when Arsenal lose to Man City, I'm going to be shameless that week. I don't give a fuck who you're playing against. I couldn't care less. And also to add, regarding
it's going to be the only trophy you man parade for a very long time, yeah?
Bro,
the shameless trophy, bro. The Liverpool didn't win the league, but your noisy neighbours did. The Arsenal didn't get top 4, but you finished 6 trophies.
Yeah, but aren't these guys your rivals as well? What's going on? Why are they just our rivals? Are you not meant to be a big club? Are you not meant to be a big club? Why are Man City and Liverpool not your rivals?
I know, but the day I celebrate Tottenham not winning the league because Chelsea do.
Listen. Don't try and do that, all right? Because I know if you were in my position and if it was between Chelsea and Spurs for the league, you 110% will be celebrating that fucking Chelsea goal. Whoever scores it, Havertz, whoever.
I wouldn't want Tottenham to win, but celebrating, no.
Bro, it's not even celebrating. At the end of the day, if you're put in that predicament, you know, and you're obviously going to be happy that flipping Spurs haven't won it. That's just normal football. But let's come back to the game. Obviously, we're veering off the subject. Kish, what are your thoughts on Man United's opening game? Obviously, I've kind of gone for a positive approach. I suppose it could be seen as a cop-out, which is understandable. But what did you make of it, or the game as a whole, so to speak?
Yeah, unlike my other side of London, I'm not going to compare it to Arsenal or anything like that. I'm actually just going to focus on the frailties and deficiencies of Manchester United. So when I saw the team lineup straight away, I knew that United wouldn't win that game. I didn't think they'd lose as convincingly as they did, but I just knew straight away.
Yo, Kish, this comment's so funny. This is from us. This is cracking. Archie, I love you, bro. Listen, Noah, all the Arsenal fans that are here right now, just before you carry on, Kish, all the Arsenal fans are here. I'm loving it. Bite me all you want, but I guarantee you, none of you are here when you lose. I guarantee none of you are going to be here. But listen, we'll come back to this comment in a second, Archie. Sorry, Kish, carry on.
Yeah, but yeah, just to elaborate, once I saw the team lineup, I was almost 100% confident that United weren't getting all 3 points out of that game. To be honest with you, the fact that you had the same midfield that you've had last season that's failed miserably in Fred and McTominay just shows. You had Eriksen up front when you've got Rashford there, who's played more.
Has Eriksen ever played there, by the way?
No, he hasn't. And that for me also, I know it's very early doors, but Ten Hag has to take the blame for that team as well. Like, there's no cutting corners there. This is a guy.
Who else would it play? Like, genuine question. Who else would you put in that position?
Rashford would have played in that position, in my personal opinion. He should have been in the middle. He should have played up front because he's the guy that has played the most games up front out of all of them. At the end of the day,
he was playing a false 9 though, and it wasn't.
No, but what I'm saying, it's not about you know, him not being good up front. It's about the player that's being played, who's played the most games in that striker position. And Eriksen doesn't know that role, because you could see straight away within the first 25 minutes, Eriksen, although he stayed up front at times, he just wasn't comfortable in that role. In fact, if anything, Bruno Fernandes was overlapping him on many, many occasions. And if anything, Bruno Fernandes was the one that was further up front. So if you were to pick one of those two, you would have put Bruno up front rather than there.
Yeah, I was surprised it was that way around.
Yeah, so with that, again, I just thought it was a joke. I just think with United, the issue at the moment is one of many. The players lack a huge amount of confidence. I think at parts as well, there are parts where you can't really blame the players, and I'll tell you why. Because it's not the players' fault that they're still at the club, even though they're not good enough. You, as United fans, know that the likes of Fred and in particular McTominay are not good enough to play at Manchester United, but yet they're still given opportunities, not just by Ten Hag, but by Rangnick, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, and managers previous to that. So that's the onus of the club and the managers that have selected these players to play in this team. Because unless the fans are missing something in training, that McTominay must be a quality midfielder in training to play every single game for United. I would be amazed by that. Yeah, I would be amazed by that, because if that was the case, then Van der Beek, who came on and already did more in about 2 minutes than what McTominay did all game, why is he on the bench? So there are parts where I particularly you can't blame the players for the ones that are starting the game, because it's the manager that's chosen that. Now, the other part of it as well, to add to it, is you're in a situation, I was thinking about it, you've still not replaced Robin Van Persie. Since Robin Van Persie, you've had the likes and Hernandez, you've had the likes of Falcao, you've had the likes of Ibrahimovic, albeit have been short-term fixes. You've had the likes of Ronaldo, Lukaku, etc. You've not replaced these players. You've not replaced Pogba. In fact, what you're trying to do now is, with the result, you're having this short-term fix with the likes of Arnautovic, which I'm sure you're thankful is not going to go.
Thank God, Lord have mercy.
Fabio, who we've already seen, I saw your tweet yesterday on his statistics.
I literally can't.
I'll be real, man. I mean, we're talking about...
For me, Rabiot is a perfect example of a player that has that European experience, which is why he's rated to be top quality. But I'll be honest, I would rather have Xhaka in my centre midfield than I would have Rabiot. There's no doubts about it in my mind. I would rather have Xhaka in my starting lineup than Rabiot if I was given the option. And that's literally me just being genuinely honest with you. So these things have just not been covered. So anyone that you sign between now and until the end of the season, don't make any doubts about it. These will be panic buys. And I think the most worrying things about it is the fact that there are strong sources saying that the likes of
have you guys seen this? I've not kept up to date.
Yeah, I've seen it. Yeah, they are winning.
I've seen a lot. I don't know what's going on, to be honest, because I've switched off Twitter for the last 4 or 5 hours. But everyone's celebrating that Monaco's been so wrong. Listen, regarding the Rabiot thing, Kate, just before we could delve into deeper, I think he's shit. I'm not even going to mince my words. I agree at all. And it might not get it.
This is the most worrying thing for me, because so far in Ten Hag's early tenure, and this is why I say pre-seasons mean nothing, because there was clips of you in pre-season saying it's Erik Ten Hag philosophy and all this, all but BS. It's about the first game when you're playing at home. And we saw nothing there. We saw absolutely nothing, right? It was the same backward passing. It was the same players that having a lack of confidence to even look up. And it was just all backwards and sideward passing. So that philosophy of Ten Hag, I know it's early doors, was thrown out the window straight away from the pre-season.
I was
in a space with Man United fans yesterday, I was in a space with Man United fans, and you were talking about players they haven't replaced Kish, For me, it's key. For us, it's Patrick Vieira. You know, like, you look at these presences, like the presence of these men in midfield, right? I was speaking to them, and I was saying to them there was no justification for the De Jong pursuit. Now, the thing is, if they had pursued De Jong, look, we got hijacked for Martinez, right? I'll be real, These men rolled up on us, took Martinez. What did we do? Straight away, there was a contingency plan there. And the way that it happened so quickly, it was clear to see that there was a plan of succession. Do you know what I mean? Like, it happened too quickly for there have not to have been a plan B and to have just gone for it and executed on bringing him into the club and getting him in during the pre-season so he was bedded in, yeah? Now, United have pursued De Jong and pursued De Jong, pursued De Jong and pursued De Jong, right? And the pursuit for me isn't necessarily the problem per se. Yeah? One, it's the profile. Because for me, you can aspire to be a possession-based team. But if you don't have someone that can win the ball when you don't have possession, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And what you saw against Brighton this weekend, when you lost possession, there wasn't anyone in that midfield that could get that ball back. Yeah. Second of all, right? Second of all, the pursuit of De Jong, what you've done is with Arsenal. Yeah, we wanted Rafinha. We tried to pursue that. It didn't happen. We wanted Martinez. We tried to pursue that. It didn't happen. Did that stop our pursuit and our purchase of other players? No, it didn't. You know, Tottenham wanted Bastoni.
This is Tottenham wanted
Bastoni. They pursued Bastoni. They pursued Bastoni. Did it stop them from getting another defender? No, it didn't.
I'm saying though, GK. My second worry for Ten Hag, my second worry at the moment here for United is the fact that the players that they are going for, the likes of Arnautovic, Rabiot, and all these players, they're very clear to be Erik Ten Hag signings because it's clear that he wants these players. So if you're looking at the United philosophy and you're looking at longer term structure, then where is Erik Ten Hag in all this? Because if fair enough, if Frankie de Jong didn't want to come to United, which is it's been clear, the moment he said I'm not interested, that's it. It's finito, game over. But the fact that Erik Ten Hag, from what we're hearing, again, unless you speak to the guy, you don't know. But from what we're hearing is either Frankie de Jong or no one else. That for me is a worry. As a fan, I'd be petrified to think, okay, so our number one target is not coming in, and you've got in fact, you have got a plan B, and that plan B is Rabiot. Are you taking the piss?
Rabiot's absolute shit. Listen, let me just give my 2 cents because the comments are cracking me up, to be honest.
Yeah.
Everyone's cooking me, but I'm fucking loving it. Listen, to all the Arsenal fans in the comments slagging off Martinez, right? First things first, right? Martinez did reject you, okay? Let's keep it real. To me personally, I think he played well. Obviously, he definitely should have given that. It was definitely a penalty. I'm not denying that. It was definitely a penalty. But I actually quite liked his performance. I thought Maguire actually played all right as well. I thought the issue was the fullbacks. Both the fullbacks were shit for me defensively. Luke Shaw was liable for the goal. I think it was the first. I can't remember if it was the first or second goal. But Luke Shaw was at fault. Everyone was blaming Martinez, I believe. But it's not. Martinez has to follow the running side. Luke Shaw has to look after the back post. So I don't know what he's doing. He does it all the time. He's bloody ball watching and he's not paying attention. And for me, Delort defensively, I've been saying it in numerous cases, he's not good enough. And he needs to improve massively. Going forward, he's nothing special as well. So again, he has a lot to answer for as well. So for me, I'm actually happy with Martinez. I thought he had a decent game. Obviously, he wasn't brilliant, but he wasn't bad as well. And he wasn't 65 million. It was 45 million. And with the add-ons, it goes to 55 million. So again, if you want to say that, that's fine. I don't really care. It's not my money at the end of the day.
No, I mean, he's a good player, but I honestly feel that the fixation on De Jong has led you to other areas in your squad that need addressing. And I don't think De Jong's the right profile of midfielder that you need.
No, I do.
I think a Sangare. I think you know someone that can help you win the ball and also be a bit progressive with it. You know, someone like a Partey, a Basuma, someone like a Rodri, someone like a Fabinho. You know, like not just for me, De Jong, Eriksen, and Bruno, they operate in the same space. If you're putting them in their best position, so why do you need 3? You know, like
no, I don't agree. I've got to be honest. But the reason I don't agree is because I think De Jong for me is the young player. Sorry, let me rephrase that. Is someone that we need massively. You saw when Eriksen dropped further deeper with his ability to link attack and defense.
He was United's best player in that second half.
Exactly. We look better in the second half because of Eriksen, basically. Simple as that. And we don't have that at the moment. I don't think Eriksen can do that week in, week out in the Premier League at his age with the current situation, obviously regarding his situation, etc. So for me personally, I did agree with your previous comment as well. We need a destroyer. For me, I've been banging on about a destroyer. I don't understand why Ten Hag doesn't want one, but that's on him. But listen, everything you guys have said, absolutely spot on. Regarding Manchester United, what I will say is, though, just my personal opinion, obviously it was embarrassing, there's no denying that, but I feel like we came into the season massively underprepared, and I really hope it's a wake-up call. Look, the fact that one injury to Martial, and it's not even a serious injury, he's missing out one game. I think he's back for Brentford. we look like shit. Like straight away without Martial in the team, we look finished. There's a lot of people slagging off Sancho in the chat, which again is understandable because he costs a lot of money, and he did have a good game. So I'm not going to sit here and defend him on that sense. I don't understand why he's getting criticism. But for me personally, I'm never going to be worried about Sancho because I actually think he's a top player, and I do think he will come good. But by all means, banter him. But listen, Lawless, we're going to pass it to you. The lighting's looking bad, boy, still. We're going to pass it to you. Have your say on Manchester United. Say whatever you want to say, and then we'll move on to the other team. So, yeah, Lawless, what are your thoughts? Manchester United losing 2-1 at home on opening day. What do you reckon?
Listen, mate, it's just same shit, different season. To be continued. That's all it is, really. How many different managers are you going to go through and feel like people act like, oh, it's a new era, it's a new era? No, it's the Glazier era. It's the Glazier era. Don't matter what manager you're getting. Same situation. One manager wasn't going to come in and turn it around. There's so much focus on the manager, whether it's Ten Hag, Ragnick, Oli, Jose, all of these names. The issue, the whole squad needs such a massive overhaul, and even then, it needs time on top of that. So you're falling behind so far and going backwards. I don't see the way out. Yeah, of course, this can be reactionary because it's the for one game, and you could start to get into a flow. But the issues are still there. There's still a lot of the same players.
Absolutely.
I just don't see how you can build on it. And I think when Jose Mourinho said that finishing second with his team was one of the best achievements for his career, you look at him and say he was probably right. Like Mourinho, boy,
it's up there with Porto and Inter. I tell you that it's top 3.
Yeah, like you look at it, he won the Europa League. You know what I mean? He finished second
Have
with
your
like.
thoughts on Mourinho changed, Usman, by the way, since everything's happened?
No. I mean, for me, I love Mourinho. I always have loved Mourinho. If you're a football fan, you love him because of the character he is. But he was never the right man for Manchester United at that time. I wanted him in 2013. I mean, I had it on my other account, but I tweeted I think just when it was announced that Sir Alex was going. For me, we got Jose Mourinho in 2013 instead of Moyes. I think Jose 110% would have won the league with that team.
The weird thing is,
on the players, so I think he would have been fine. I think the time he came was the wrong timing, basically. But we're going to keep going. Just to what you're saying, Lawless, this is why myself and so many fans are Glazers out, because a lot of rival fans don't understand it. And I understand why you don't understand it, because you lot look at it from black and white perspective. Man United spend X amount of money. Why they're not succeeding? The issue is so much deeper than the money you spend. You can spend as much money as you want. If you don't spend it properly, it's never going to bring about change. Look at Everton, for example. They've spent probably more than all of our teams that actually sat here in the last 3 years. But they're absolutely shocking because they've spent poorly, which is what Man United have done without any structure. The fact that we actually linked to Arnautovic is one of the most disgraceful things I've ever seen. That he's well past his best. He's been playing in China and he's a racist, and we're still linked with him. How desperate can we be as a football club? Rabiot for me isn't as bad as Arnautovic, obviously, but for me, again, it smells of a panic buy, and it just comes down to structure, lack of planning. Look at Newcastle. There's someone, Ty from Never Foul, tweeted that Newcastle are already trying to build a new training complex. Manchester United's roof leaks. We've got Newcastle's owners have been here for 2 minutes, and they're already showing more ambition to move the club in the right direction. But Manchester United haven't fixed the roof. I mean, it's an absolute disgrace the way our board is, and people don't see those things. Obviously, Gunnar King, you might understand because your board's a disgrace as well. Obviously, they've kind of improved slightly, but you'll understand as an Arsenal fan because obviously
our board's better by default. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Cronkies, mate. Cronkies ain't as bad as them lot. Carry on, like look at the Glazers.
They've been the same.
But the reason why they didn't spend so much was, I think Wenger was a big part of that. I know we're not going into Arsenal yet, but I think Wenger was a part because he had the control and also you had the stadium to pay for. I don't think they're great. I'm not saying they're great, but they're not as bad as made out. But the Glaziers, yeah, they're a complete shambles. And I feel like if they came into this season prepared, if you got like 3 really, really good signings, like 3 in key areas, like the midfield, up front, at the back, right? That could be enough to sustain you to a good season, maybe getting top 4.
We haven't signed anything that's going to make it.
No, but that's what I'm saying. But then
you know what, Lawless? Do you know what? Last season, right? We lost to Brentford. Now, what Usman was saying about this could kickstart United's board into life, it kind of did with ours. We lost that game to Brentford. We lost our first 3 games. Now, if we had just won that one game against Brentford, we'd be going Champions League, not Kish's team. Yep. So you see this season, what with Arsenal and Tottenham getting their signings early, it wasn't just about, we're spending money again for Arsenal. I know we're going to get to Arsenal in a minute, but it was the fact that they showed that they learned from that incident. If we had had our new players in for that Brentford game, who knows? The outcome would have been different.
But
The season before as well. Excuse me, sorry, Usman. When we were chasing that guy from Lyon, Husam Aouar, all summer.
Yeah,
they wanted us to pay 50 million. We refused to pay it. We thought we could negotiate and down on the price. We didn't. Deadline day, we got Partey. Partey had no pre-season. He's gone from playing with 3 in a less intense, physically and a slower league to playing in a 2 in the Premier League, which is much quicker, much more physical. And then he starts getting injured, left, right, and centre. So we've learned in the last 2 seasons the hard way. Leave your business late and pay for it. Pay the price for it.
Absolutely.
You knew Ten Hag was coming in as well from last season, and I feel like the Ragnick thing was a mistake letting him go, because he was the link, right, between like the past and the future. He was that guy that could have helped facilitate that transition, but obviously he was outspoken. Get rid of him. And perhaps Ten Hag didn't want to work with him.
That's why he was let go, Paulus. That's why he was let go, because United knew when Rangnick said 10+ players, every honest United fan knew that's what they needed. But the board saw the checkbook and thought, do you know what? Let's just bin Rangnick, because if he stays and says this, imagine if Rangnick was still there, and I think United would have had 6-7 players by now, because he would have forced the issue, and United did not want to do that simply because that takes away the owner's control. And if anyone knows United for the last 10 years, they know that they don't like anyone, regardless of who it is, Mourinho, etc. Anyone that tries to take that away from them, bin, see you later. And that's what's happening.
Therein lies United's problem. It's actually sad. Do you know what I mean? Like
listen, I don't want no sympathy, so we're gonna move on that point. We're not doing none of that sympathy, because
but Usman, like, I just want to ask you a question, because on the Glazers, because we obviously say the Glazers, but looking at it, and obviously I think Kish said the Sky Sports thing in the group chat, and it was interesting what he was saying about, and I see a few people say this actually, about the possibility of getting the Glazers out of the club. And because they've got so much money tied into it, and the debt and all of that, like, it is going to take, like, because you've done the whole thing where you storm Old Trafford, you've had the protest.
We've done everything, honestly.
What else can you do? Like, really and truly, it's going to take the team to really go to the ashes for a new owner to come in and try and build it up, to me.
The thing is, right, basically with the Glazers, they don't actually give a shit. This is the thing with American owners, right? They could not care less about the Premier League opposition. We've seen a lot of other clubs, us included, with the American owners, they don't care. Like, we've just finished 6th, and it was our worst Premier League season in our history. You got to remember that, we've had a couple of bad seasons post Alex Ferguson as well, and this one still statistically surpassed them after all the shit shows that we've had. And what's their reaction? We had no signings early on, and we've signed a young left back who's 19. We've signed Ericsson on a free, which, by the way, should have been done on the first day of the transfer window, and it was left so late he didn't even make the pre-season tour, which is an absolute disgrace. And then we signed Martinez, who is a player that Ten Hag's just had Ajax, which should have been done extremely quickly. So for me personally, it's been a shit show since day dot. And I don't think anything's going to change anytime soon, regardless of what the fans do, to be honest. The only thing that I'm noticing the difference is that obviously it was Cavan, I think his name is, that spoke on Sky Sports, which I've not seen him do before. And Gary Neville's finally admitted that the Glazers got to go. So I mean, obviously, like, for me personally, it's a small W for us, but at the end of the day, we're not going to. They've sent us back so far. It's actually mad. The fact that our stadium leaks and it's not being fixed, and the leak, it's just a bad.
It don't help with you lot smashing it up.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah,
It's just a simple factor. You have no football man as a middleman between the owners and the manager. That's what it is. I mean, if you look at Arsenal, one of the reasons why they've kind of appeased the fans in the last few years is because of Edu. I know some fans kind of went against Edu last season because of the signings that they made. But if you look at it longer term, he was the right appointment because he's someone that's played football at a very high level in the past and knows what it takes in terms of scouting, the players to sign, the kind of profiles. Whereas with United, that's what Rangnick was supposed to be. That he was that
Rangnick
guy.
is a specialist
Yeah.
at it. But like,
And until
but like Lola said, if you speak out against the board and actually want the club to move forward, you get removed. But listen, let's move on from Manchester United. Obviously, there's a lot to cover.
Maybe get Ollie as a scout. They'll like him.
Yeah, fuck him. Yeah, so we're gonna cover all 6 teams, and we will of course cover West Ham as well. Please do continue to slap a like on the video and subscribe to the channel. Record this once a week, basically, Monday on Tuesday. But anyways, let's move on to Liverpool. As you can see in the title, Liverpool are bottled it. 2-2 the final score. Goals from Darwin Núñez and a fantastic assist from Darwin Núñez. Lukaku for Salah to tap in and obviously get off the mark. Nevertheless, Mitrovic is on fire. 2 goals from, I think he's Serbian, if I'm not mistaken. 2 goals from the Serbian. Really break the duck, obviously, this season. We'll get into that very shortly. Listen, Lawrence, we'll let you start. Thoughts, my guy. Thoughts on Liverpool dropping points very early into the season.
Boy, you know what? I have to say Fulham were unbelievable in that game. Like, the way that they pressed Liverpool and put them under pressure every time that they had the ball doubled up on their players, that the game plan was solid, the execution from the players, the intensity, the fight. Like, it was just a great performance. And I think Liverpool just did not know what to expect. They just was not ready for that. They was not ready to be pressured like that. And yeah, I have to give full credit to Fulham. Liverpool did have spells where they came back into the game, but like, you had big players like Van Dijk. You know, he was
Van Dijk got done for that penalty.
He got done. Yeah, Mitrovic was causing him all sorts of problems, and he's a player that, like, you know, I put out the other day, like, if we could have got him, you know, I'm not saying he would have been like the 15 to 20 guy, like, he would have been a good solid striker compared to some of the strikers we have signed. He would have been a good signing for us, you know, a few seasons ago, and now it's too late. But yeah, he was unbelievable that game. Liverpool again. The thing is, it's the first game, but in this title race, every game counts. Every game. This could be the game they look back on and say, damn, like, if we was ready for this game, we could have won the title. Because a few people have been tipping Liverpool and it's been tight. But look, Man City, we're going to talk about them. They got their 3 points. They've got their Haaland. People was dancing on their grave way too early, but they're looking good. Whereas Liverpool still look a bit frail, and they don't. The thing is with Liverpool, like, Klopp is a very, very good manager. He's a world-class manager. But I just feel like they don't freshen up that squad enough. Sometimes it's probably been to their benefit. But over this length of time, it kind of needs, like, some of them big, big signings, that some of them big players to come in and you know, in their weaker areas, massively strengthen those weaker areas. When they've got, like, Henderson and Milner playing, like, at this stage, you know, it's not good. And they had Thiago come off injured, you know, which is unfortunate. And
I think he's
a lot of it
injured for 6 weeks.
6 to 8 weeks. Yeah.
But a team like Liverpool,
they're going to sign a centre mid now. They have to. There's nowhere.
A team like that, there's no excuse for Liverpool, who have won the league recently, won the Champions League, been to the Champions League final, competing for the league titles, to not have depth. They need to have depth. There's no excuse, and I don't understand why they don't fully spend and really flex their muscles, because, like, they must have, like, all the way they've been competing up the top of the table, trophies they've won, Champions League, league title, FA Cup, all this stuff, extra TV time. They must be getting hundreds of million a season, like at least a couple of 100 million a season. How are they not flexing those financial muscles and getting in players, you know? So yeah, it's a tough one. Obviously, I expect them to bounce back. They nearly got back in it. Usman was like in the chat, they're gonna do it. They're gonna fucking do it.
I was sweating, man. I was like, please, for them.
They almost did, but
I know if Henderson won it as well, his celebration. Oh my god, I can't stand it.
Yeah,
But that's
Fulham
completely
deserved the
biased.
3 to win it. Like I was disappointed they didn't get the full 3. They deserved it. And look, we all had Fulham in our bottom 3. I think when we did our predictions, I think we all did have them in the bottom 3. It's the first game. Time will tell. But geez, they looked well organised. So they might prove us all wrong.
I didn't have
Um,
Fulham in my bottom 3. I've got my notes right here.
all right.
I've got Bournemouth, Leeds, and Southampton. Mind you, don't put me with you. I've got Fulham staying up.
Do you know what? After this, if we're just going by one weekend,
yeah,
the
obviously,
Southampton shout's
Them
looking
lose
good.
5-0 next week.
Well, yeah, we'll get into Southampton, but I'm just saying Southampton over Fulham is looking like a good shout
I
based on
know.
what we've
I
seen
mean,
this
I
weekend. But
called it
lots
early. I called it early. But listen, let's get all the guys' thoughts. Obviously, just before I do that, I just want to add, like, for me, I've seen a lot of Liverpool fans. I think Hossam was on last week. Every Liverpool fan that I've spoken to, I've seen on Spaces, whatnot. They're all
Where
saying
is he today?
obviously, he's gone into hiding. I don't think. Lawless has gone into darkness.
My lights died. Oh, why did I have it full power? I saw that.
No worries, sort it out. But for me, the midfield is quite a clear issue. Now with Thiago injured as well, Kish, how desperately do they need a midfield in the next couple of weeks?
I mean, just to quickly jump in on what Lola said, look, give Fulham credit. They were fantastic. Every time they lost the ball, what Lola said is true. Every time they lost the ball, they had 4 or 5 midfielders chasing that Liverpool attack, chasing them. And the players, they were just shocked. It was a sucker punch. They didn't know what to do. So you have to give, Marco Silva credit and credit to Fulham for that. Hopefully for them, it continues to the end of the season. With regards to Liverpool, look, I said this last week on the podcast, and we've all said it, all season, all kind of preseason, that if you take away Fabinho and Thiago away from that midfield, does that centre midfield partnership get into the top 8, top 10? Really?
It's up there with McFred.
You find it difficult. Now, you take away, so their lineup that they had in that midfield, they had Henderson, Fabinho, Thiago. You now take Thiago out of that midfield. Of the fit midfielders remaining, you have James Milner, Elliott, and Carvalho. Carvalho, who's just signed from Fulham Championship. Again, lots of potential, but is he a replacement for Thiago as of yet? No. Elliott, good player. Yeah, he showed promise, but then unfortunately had the long-term injury.
Yeah, of course.
So you don't know. James Milner, again, a workhorse, but would you say that a midfield 3 of Henderson, Fabinho, Milner is going to get everyone standing up and Man City shaking in their boots? Absolutely not. So for me, if you're a Liverpool fan, that is a massive, massive worry. You can't deny that. And also to add to it as well, I know it's very early in the season, but for Firmino, for me, I don't know what's happened to Firmino in the last 2-3 years. He looks like a shell of himself. I thought the fact that he's starting the first game of the season, that this is his opportunity to say, look, I've got competition here. I've got serious competition with Darwin Núñez. I'm going to prove to him that, that it's going to be difficult for him to get into the team. A bit like what Kulusevski did for us with Richarlison in the team. But he looked disinterested, and he hardly did anything. And then Klopp took him off in the 50th minute or 55th minute, and Núñez made an instant impact, which, to be honest, we all knew he would. But I would be worried as a Liverpool fan at the moment because something just doesn't seem to be right. And the frailties of Alexander-Arnold, again, defensively came up on numerous occasions. Granted that you're not going to be facing up against a Mitrovic type of player every single game. But if you're the opposition team within the top 6, top 8, or even if you're someone like a Brighton with Danny Welbeck, who caused United trouble, you would be pinpointing Alexander-Arnold to get above him for set pieces.
But Tish, you can't question his defensive ability because he revolutionized.
Oh yeah, I can't. But yeah, we've said this all along. If Liverpool do not sign a replacement for Thiago, because Thiago will always get injured, he's had that throughout his career. They are in serious trouble because you take him away, there is literally in that midfield no creativity whatsoever. Like there's no creativity in that midfield at all. And I would be seriously worried as a Liverpool fan if they don't end up getting someone of quality. I know you guys have been linked to Milinkovic-Savic. Again, that ilk of player is what Liverpool need, because otherwise you might as well just kiss the title goodbye straight away to City, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, Gunnar King, just obviously on, off the back of the, it goes without saying that their midfield is quite clearly the issue here. With the Thiago injury, how important do you think it's now for them to actually go and buy someone? Because as Kish said, the replacements that they've got are nowhere near the standard of a title-winning midfield.
He's vital. I don't really have beef with Liverpool fans, yeah, but they do flex their net spend champion, like trophy, like quite a lot, yeah. Let's be real, right? The second biggest club in the country, comfortably. As Lawler says, I wanna sort of segue into what Lawler's saying and open it up further. Fergie came in. He said he was going to knock Liverpool off their perch. Them winning the Community Shield effectively kind of puts them back on it again in terms of trophies won. Now, when Arsenal, when United were dominant, when Chelsea were dominant, like when Man City were dominant, that's not when you take your foot off the gas. That's when you that's when you slam your foot on the accelerator. Do you know what I mean? That's when you press home that advantage, because you don't know, tomorrow's not promised in this game. Yeah. That's when you go to market and you go great guns, exactly like Lawler said. The thing is, they've done well to get this far and to be competing with City for this long. But one league title in 30 years, right, is not good enough for the second biggest club in the country. All right, Arsenal ain't won no Champions Leagues. I've seen Arsenal win 5 league titles. And we're nowhere near Liverpool size. Yeah, like that shouldn't be happening. And what sets them apart in these situations is they differ. Look, I personally think what they're trying to do is they want to get Bellingham next season. They said, that's our man. A release clause kicks into play next season, which will make him significantly cheaper. That's fine. That's fine. But look, Milner, he's, I don't know, he must be 40. Something like that. I don't know. He's old, yeah? He's not got more than a season in a maximum. Henderson, injury prone, and he's not got many more years left in him either. Keita doesn't stay fit enough. Ox doesn't stay fit enough. Now, you've got 4 squad midfielders there that are either not fit enough or are aging. And then your main midfielder, Thiago, is also injury prone. So you're telling me that the second biggest club in the country can't say, all right, we're getting Bellingham next summer, but this summer, given that between those 4, 2 of them are aging and we're going to lose from the natural aging process anyway, and the others are injury prone. You're telling me they can't go out and get another midfielder just because they bought Nunes, but they sold Mane, they sold a few other players.
They've got absolutely no excuse to
recoup a lot of that money. So it's not only that they don't have an excuse. If I was a Liverpool fan, I would be livid. This is your time. Do you know what I mean? This is actually your time. You know what? You don't know what's happening now. You see what look, people are going to joke. You see what Tottenham are doing. You see what Arsenal are doing. Chelsea, they're gonna spend this summer. They're gonna get their act together. In a few years, these squandered opportunities to press home that advantage, they're not going to be there. And they'll look back. They'll look back on these moments. We Arsenal fans, we look back when Wenger was backed. When he didn't get a Champions League, we look back at that time and we think, if only, if only. We look back to when Leicester won the league that season. If only we had got a striker. We only bought Petr Cech that season. You would have won it. Giroud went on a 15-game drought. Ozil still got 19 assists, and we finished second. No one else was in that race, apart from Leicester. We look back on these times, and you know what? Liverpool, they're going to do the same thing. They're going to do the same thing. We won every available trophy under Klopp. Yeah, all right, but you should have won more. And I say this to Chelsea fans. They say, but the Champions League about buying Werner and buying Lukaku. Yeah, they Havertz cost 70 million, but he had this Champions League winning goal. So you should have won more, mate. For what you spent, the players you bought, the quality you brought in, you should have won more. And it's not a bad thing to say that. Do you know what I mean?
You know what? I was about to say, I think you're spot on. I've had this conversation with a lot of Liverpool fans. They keep telling me that, they've won X, Y, and Z trophies. For me personally, right, again, I'm coming back to history. And I don't want to make it about Man United, so I will talk about Arsenal instead. When Arsenal were doing well, as you just alluded to, they're winning the double. They're winning the double and the goal season, whatnot. They're winning another double, whatever it may be. Liverpool haven't done that for me, and every team has a cycle. I look at West Ham, for example. West Ham are probably in your best period, Lawless. Let's be realistic. Obviously, I know you've had other periods where you've done really well, but this time, this West Ham team, they look like they actually genuinely can break the top six, and I don't think that would be a shock. West Ham were to come as fifth or sixth, I don't think anyone would be like, "Oh wow, that's amazing." They'd be like, "No, we'd accept that as a thing that's happened, and it'd be okay because this is a good period for you, and it's important in these periods that you capitalize on these moments." And for me, Liverpool are 110% going to regret this because this isn't going to last forever. As a Man United fan, I can wholeheartedly say that I never thought. For 10 years, I never thought we'd be in this position 10 years after we won the league when Van Persie scored that goal. If anyone told me that this would be our fate 10 years down the line, I would have laughed at you and said, "You're beyond deluded. And this would never happen to my club, Manchester United." But that's how football works. You see on the international stage, countries like Spain that had their period win the World Cup, the Euros after that, they finished. And it always happens. That's football. You see with the Champions League, the Spanish team dominate for 4 years, and the English team, the German team, wherever it may be. And I feel for me personally, Liverpool and the board, again, another American-owned team, are an absolute disgrace, to be quite honest with you. I know, obviously, as a Man United fan, I'm happy about it, but if I'm being unbiased here, I think it's absolutely disgraceful that he's only got Keita, Ox, Henderson, and Milner as backup options to Thiago Alcantara, who's a fantastic player. Keita, 60 million, granted, they spent money on him, but move him on. I mean, there's teams that want him. Oxlade-Chamberlain, granted, he's injured a lot, I understand. Get rid of them two players and bring in another midfielder until Bellingham. Now, I understand Bellingham's your guy, similar to what we're doing with Frankie de Jong. I get it. But you are on the verge of securing a quadruple. You're on the verge of making history. You've got to go again. And I just don't understand, as an owner, your team almost won the quad and you don't have that extra bit of sort of motivation to go, "You know what, we need X, Y, Z, we can do history here." Like, I thought Liverpool, right, would go in this window and sign 5 players. And they would be like, "No, we're winning the quad next season, basically. We were so close. We're going to do it this time. We're going to get over the line." And for whatever reason, okay, the bought Darwin Núñez, Fabio, I think, who's actually a really talented player, as Kish mentioned earlier. They bought a couple of players here and there, but nowhere near the standard of a team that should have that.
I do think a lot of it is stubbornness as well, though, Usman, because of Klopp. Klopp's not known. If you look at his Dortmund days, I know it's a different financial kind of game compared to, say, a City, etc. But he's not known to be that type of manager that just goes out and splashes all the cash, because he has said in many interviews, a bit like the issue that Lawless had with David Moyes in January, to say, because if the money's there, and he said openly that it's there, but he hasn't found the right player, then that you have to have the onus on the manager as well at the same time, because he has a good game with moaning about Fulham's pitch, by the way. He has a good game about moaning about these sort of things. So,
wait, did he moan about the Fulham pitch?
Yeah, he said it was too dry.
The pitch was dry, bro. The pitch was dry, bro.
It was difficult to play on. That's what he said. So, but my point is Klopp also has to have a part in blame, because I'm sure if their greatest manager in the Premier League era says to the board that I need a midfielder and I need this midfielder or that midfielder right now, because that's what they did for Luis Diaz, because Tottenham were going to get him in January, and I'm sure what Klopp probably did was say, "Look, we need to get him now. Because they initially wanted him this summer, and they said, forget that, we need him now." They went and got him. So I'm sure if Klopp said to the board that this is the player that I need this season, not next season or whatever, then they would have done it. So there has to be a bit of a balance in terms of ownership here, I think, personally.
Yeah, 100%. And this is what Wenger did all wrong as well. He kind of fell on his sword too much.
We're going to move on. We'll talk about Arsenal, actually. I've just opened the window because it's like 90 degrees in this room. If you can hear a dog, let me know. I will close the window. But let's move on to Arsenal, because we still need to cover Arsenal, obviously Spurs and West Ham. So let's talk about Arsenal. Obviously, that was the one game I actually watched the full 90 minutes. Arsenal winning 2-0, courtesy of goals from Martinelli and Saka. I think that was awarded an own goal, which I'm
own goal, yeah.
Fight him on FPL, but it is what it is. Listen, we'll start with you, Lawless, and we'll go around as always. What did you make of it? What were your thoughts? Obviously, I thought, for me personally, Arsenal were brilliant first half. Second half, not so much. But what were your thoughts on the first game?
I thought just over the whole 90, I was a bit disappointed in Arsenal. Like, based on, the preseason they've had, some of the business they've done, some of the way that they've been talked up. I thought I saw quite a lot of the same old Arsenal under Arteta. Start brilliantly, go a goal up, then start to sit back, let the other team grow into the game. Like when you look at like the second half in particular, like the chances, like that Eze chance is unforgivable. The way that the chance he missed, and you know it was. I mean, I predicted Arsenal to win that game. I was speaking to Tobes. I don't know how Tobes had Palace to win that game, because this Palace team, they've lost Gallagher, which I think was a massive player for them, and that's a hole they've got to fill. I just don't feel like they're ready for the based on their preseason they had. So I think they'll come good, but I just don't think they're ready. So it's not the test. It wasn't the big test that I was looking for Arsenal. So I thought Arsenal would win like 3-4-1 or something. So like definitely like Saliba stand out, very impressive for him. He's one to look for. For sure, I want to see more of what he does. But yeah, I thought overall, when you look at it, Palace could have had a penalty. There was a shout there for handball. I've seen some people say no, some people say yeah. But yeah, I thought, look, Arsenal got the 3 points. That's what matters, right? That's the be all and end all. They come away with a win. However, I was just looking at them. Apart from Saliba, who's if he maintains that form, I think he could be an upgrade on Ben White. I didn't see much to say like, okay, this is their season, this is their time, and things are going to be different. Because don't forget, once Europa League starts up, once Carabao starts up, once World Cup comes along, that squad is really going to start to get stretched out. So it's going to be interesting. I expect Arsenal to start well, and I think that they'll get points on the board. It's how they maintain that throughout the season.
Yeah, I mean, I think that was an extremely well put point, to be honest. I think just off the back of what you said, the reason I didn't put Arsenal in the top 4, Gunnar King, was actually what Lawrence just said at the end there. I think, for me personally, you are probably moving in the right direction, I've got to be honest. I really enjoyed the first half. I've got to be honest. Like, I didn't want Arsenal to win, but in terms of a football neutral, just to see the Premier League back, I loved it. I thought Arsenal played fantastic, high intensity. Jesus in particular, I thought he was sensational. I thought he was the best player prior to him going off. He offered something, what Lacazette clearly doesn't offer in an Arsenal shirt. But I just thought Jesus was fantastic. Martinelli should have scored that goal, but Jesus sat down the entire team. That would have been fantastic. But overall, I thought Arsenal were good. But again, the same issue, second half. You dropped off for some reason. You did it a lot last season. And it cost you points. And I was looking at the Arsenal bench, and I was like, okay, granted, there might be tired legs. You're giving a lot in the first half. But who does Arteta bring on to change this game? There's nobody on that bench, realistically, that can come on and change this game. And when Europa League kicks in, for me, Arsenal are not getting top 4 unless they sign at least 2 players come the end of this window. For me, although the window's been good for them so far, actually it's been very good. Zinchenko was impressive as well. They need 2 more players. They really desperately need 2 more match winners, regardless of who they may be, to come off the bench and have an impact, because you can't keep relying on kids. Although they'll have great moments, they'll play well, the fatigue's going to kill them firstly, and secondly, the pressure will catch up to them, because at the end of the day, 3 games a week is not easy for anybody, regardless of your age. So, especially with the intensity Arteta wants them to play. So, Gunnar King, it's only right that you get to obviously have your say. Obviously, great win at the end of the day. It's first game of the season. You need the 3 points. But what did you make of it? Obviously, first and second half.
Absolute game of 2 halves as well. Not good enough in the second half. I don't want to dwell on the good performance of the first half, because that's not going to take us forward. Like for me, I prefer to look at things in black and white. I agree with a lot of what you said, actually. Like I've said all along, we need 2 more players. But for me, I think there is mitigation in the sense that, me and Kish went at it on another show. Like the mentality in away games is an issue for us as a team, and it has been not just last season, for many years now. It has been a big problem. Like going away and playing games has been a problem. It's always going to be a problem with a younger squad, which is why I think we need to bring in more experience, like as you said. But one thing I will say though, Palace away, Palace in general, this previous 6 times we've played them, we'd only won once. they're a bogey team. You know, like I feel like every team's allowed a bogey team. And Palace definitely are very much our bogey team. I then looked at the last 13 games. Since 2016, we only won 3 or 4 games. They are a proper bogey team. And
I never knew that.
Selhurst Park, for anyone that's been there on an away day, for me, is up there with one of the most hospitable environments to go to in the league. You know, like to go there, like that stadium. I'm not trying to like say that we shouldn't have been more convincing in our performance. We absolutely should have been. But I think when you tie that in with the inexperience level of this squad, with that environment, with the record we have against Palace, obviously the circumstance that we're in the last time we played Palace and lost, that playing on the player's mind, it being the first game of the season, what happened to us in our previous season in our first match. When all these things collide together, I think psychologically that can have an effect on the players. And I think, to be honest, I'm happy now that we've got home games coming up in our next couple of fixtures, but we can't afford to go away from home and only turn up for 45 minutes. We do that to West Ham. We do that to Tottenham. We even do that to United. It could be very different for us. You know, like, so that's definitely something we got to work on. I think, but to get the points was the important thing. You know, when you factor in the record we have against Palace and our opening day last season, I think the expectations the fan base have, and our fan base is toxic, man. Stinks. Like, it's very toxic. And I think the damage to morale, not even getting 3 points, even a draw would have done. You know, like after the gas that we had in pre-season, I think that could have been very debilitating for those players. So kudos to them for getting the 3 points. Saliba, what a player. This guy is going to the top. He's got a long way to go. But for me, I think at the end of the season, we will be talking about Arsenal's best centre-back. Without him in that team, we lose that game. So I definitely take that as a positive. I think Zinchenko, mixed reviews on his debut, because going forward he was very good, but I think defensively, Ayew had him on toast a bit. You got to be a bit mindful of that.
And Ayew was shit. Ayew was pretty shit in that game as well.
Yeah, but he did. There was moments where he absolutely had Zinchenko on toast. You know, like, but yeah, I just think Martinelli could have been a bit more clinical with the first chance, but I think showed big character, you know, to get the first goal. For me, it's just I want to see more in the next game. You know, like I want to see us maintain our clean sheets, and I want to see us control games. You know, like, and just be a bit more ruthless, grab games by the scruff of the neck, and just for the full 90 look more in control. Because that second half, I was shitting it. You know, like I don't want to be going away from home and seeing that all season.
Same patterns. And Kish, your thoughts on Arsenal, then we'll move on swiftly. What do you reckon?
Yeah, just to summarise what you all said, valid points. I think just to kind of follow up on Martinelli, I've always said if I do have a player watch for Arsenal, Martinelli for me this season, I've always said he's had a huge amount of potential. And that first chance that he missed is pretty much the story of his career so far. He needs to improve upon that kind of side of his game, because if he does, I do see him being a player that from the wing, he'll probably get 10 to 15 goals a season. I think he has enough quality about him to do that, because you look at the likes of Smith Rowe, who did that last season, they're just a bit more clinical than him. So it'd be interesting to see if he can, you know, shore up on that, which you can teach, especially a player of his age. And yeah, in terms of squad depth, I mean, I'm just looking at it now. From the bench, you take away the first team, you've got the likes of Reece Nelson, who really they're trying to sell. El Neni, Lokonga, Pepe, Suarez, Holding, Nketiah, and then Tierney, who probably I reckon will most likely be, you know, the first team fullback. So you take that away and kind of, you know, I'll mention later on with the Spurs squad, there's a difference there. And once these games come in, and say if you have an injury to a Xhaka or Partey in particular, or, you know, even a Saka, for example, the replacements there are just nowhere near, maybe a game or two, but any more than that, they could be 6 points, for example, that you might lose, which could be vital towards your chances towards maybe getting, say, top 4 at the end of the season. So, yeah, I definitely think more so squad players you need of quality. But I'd say Arsenal should still be looking at least, I'd say, maybe 2 or 3 healthy additions for the squad.
Yeah, I think that's a fair point. Shout out to Cody in the chat. I wasn't even aware that this was you, but shout out to you, bro, for you well. Obviously, shout out to everyone in the chat. Obviously, keep slapping like, get your comments and your thoughts. We're going to just quickly go through the other 3 teams, because obviously we have, 4 teams, because we haven't covered any of them. We'll start with Spurs, because I don't think we mentioned them or Chelsea last week at all. So, Kish, we'll start with you. We'll stay with you. 4-1 win. For me, I thought it was a Kulusevski show. I mean, it's been absolutely sensational. I actually was with Jermaine Genius, not yesterday, the day before. So I was working with him and I was speaking to him, and I asked him a question. So I asked the panel here. So I basically asked him, who's impressed you more, Saka or Kulusevski, the last 12 months? Because obviously Saka's been brilliant as well. And he couldn't really answer the question. He didn't really want to say it because he felt like he was being biased. But for me personally, I think Kulusevski has been better than Saka, and that's not a dig at Saka because I think he's quality as well. But I think Kulusevski has massively gone under the radar of how good he's been. The Kish, what are your thoughts on him? And obviously, as an addition, again, fantastic performance by him.
I mean, the game was the perfect test for us. I mean, in an opposite side to what GK said about the fact that because they've got a young team, if say they concede early or whatever, their heads can drop at times with Arsenal, and you're going to get that with a lack of experience within the core of the team. With us, we're in the complete different side of that spectrum now, where we've got players who have that experience, that know-how. That look, Ward-Prowse scored very early doors, but what did we do? We completely got them on the counter, and then after then, never looked back and never looked like losing, to be honest. And that is a predicament of Antonio Conte and the kind of the mentality that he's given to his players, that you just keep going at it. I also read a stat today that in 2022 so far, Spurs are the highest goal scorers in the Premier League, and that is down to the likes of Kulusevski, Son and Kane, but massively to Kulusevski. We were in a situation in the last 2 years before Kulusevski where you take Kane and Son out of the team, it's over for us. There's no other kind of avenue, and it is potentially possible to block those 2 players, no matter how good they are. But to take 3 players of that quality out of the game completely is near enough impossible to do so. So Kulusevski, for me, 21 years of age, 22, 21, 22, for £25 million, it's an absolute snip. He caused absolute chaos. In this, I know Southampton's defense, they play a high line, so it's good for an attacker like Kulusevski to get in behind and have the pace to run around. But in general, Kulusevski so far, Kulusevski has shown his quality. And what's not the one player I want to give the most praise to, and it'd be good to get to know the panel's opinion on this, Ryan Sessegnon. He's had 3 seasons now at Spurs. When we signed him, he was one of the most devastating wing backs at Fulham from the Championship. I think he got 15, 20 goals and assists. So he was fantastic. He's had injuries since he's been at Spurs. But if you looked at him physically in the weekend, he looks like he ate Sessegnon from last season. He's that much of a specimen now. I don't know if it's the pressure of Perisic coming in, where he has said that he's learning a lot from Perisic, which is one of the reasons why we signed him. But I think for Ryan Sessegnon in particular, it's a massive, massive season ahead. I could talk about every other player because I thought everyone performed, but in general, the 2 players I want to pick is, of course, Kulusevski, but also Ryan Sessegnon, because I genuinely think he was fantastic, and I think it's going to be a massive, massive season for him this year as well.
That's what stood out to me, is two of your worst players, typically, traditionally, Sessegnon and Royale. Emerson Royale both had good games. Royale not as much as Sessegnon. But the pressure of that depth, I think, can really push you when you don't feel like, you know what, I'm going to get game time regardless. Do you know what I mean? Sometimes players probably don't tell themselves that, but psychologically, deep down, it's there where you know.
This is what I was saying to you, Lawless. Separate to Arsenal's bench at the moment, not kind of disregarding it, but our bench for this game, we had Bissouma, we had Longley, we had Lucas Moura, we had Spence, we had Perisic, we had Matt Doherty. So we've got players there that, yes, they might not be as good as the players that are starting, but they're still, they're still good at a good addition.
They're still
Well,
putting pressure on them.
although you
There's not a
expect,
big drop. There's not a big
yeah,
drop. You know what I mean? In quality.
Perisic, obviously, and Basuma, you expect to be starters
Yeah.
once time ticks on, which means that the players that are holding them positions now are fighting to keep them positions and then can carry on that form into whatever cup competition that they get dropped into. So no, that was that was a big thing. Yeah, obviously Kulusevski, although I see what you're saying about it was a test in terms of going behind, but to me, I can't fully take this game as like Spurs, like this is what
Yeah.
Spurs are about, because Southampton was so shit.
No,
Like,
I'm telling you, they're getting
oh
relegated.
my God.
Yeah.
Like the first goal, the goal they scored, it was just a mistake. It was a poor mistake. The pass into Son doesn't react quickly enough. Then, you know what I mean, they press you, goals in the back of net, well taken by Ward-Prowse. But after that, like I cannot believe how bad their defense was.
Yeah.
I cannot believe how
And
much
the one thing I would say
they
from
gave
a Tottenham part, defensively, we are still suspect. I mean, every time Southampton had a set piece, granted they've got Ward-Prowse, who I believe is the best set piece taking the Prem. But regardless of that, you can still get at Tottenham's defense from set pieces and corners. Make no doubt about that, because they still, in that first half, they caused our defense chaos from just set pieces alone. So yeah, I mean,
I want to see that the Chelsea game. I really want to see what this attack does, because while they're a bit kind of toothless going forward, Chelsea at the back is where they're strong, much stronger. And I think Chelsea's attack is stronger than Tottenham's attack is stronger than Chelsea's defense, but they've got a good manager. You can get them well organized. It's at Stamford Bridge. That is going to be a very interesting test.
It's going to be the game of wing backs. The game is going to be won with whose wing backs perform on the day. And let's be honest, clearly, if Chilwell and James play, or Cucurella and James play, they're way better than Emerson Royale and Sessegnon. So there's not even a debate.
You don't think Perisic will be ready to start?
I don't know, because I think with Conte, he's one of those managers where he doesn't just bring the players straight into the firing line. Perisic came on in the second half and he got 25-30 minutes.
Sounds like Moyes.
You know what you're saying, kids, right? Yeah. I actually put Sessegnon in my FPL team.
Oh, okay.
And I was on a TikTok live. I was showing it to my followers. Yeah. At the back end of last season, obviously, you know, like that, I thought the standout game was against Liverpool. I thought he was outstanding in that game.
He was.
You know, like, not just because he got the assist. I think defensively, to stay on job, you know, with Salah, you know, on that side, Trent on that side. Yeah. You know, like I thought he was absolutely outstanding. Like, the thing is, look, I'm an Arsenal fan, yeah, but I'm a purist, man. Like, I won't sit here and just be like, oh yeah, they play for Spurs, so I can't give them their flowers. Like, I'm not one of those guys. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, like, and I said, yeah, like I said to your lot, there was a load on that live saying Perisic is going to start. I said, one, I think Perisic has got a knock that he's nursing, but exactly what you said about Conte, I said the same thing. Conte is a very principled man. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, and he won't drop a player just because he's brought a new player. If the player that he's dropping has been in good form, he'll be like, no, that player, you have to dislodge that player in training.
I also checked Sessegnon is the most used player all preseason for Conte. So I knew he was going to start, to be honest.
Yeah, like, you're not going to. He's not. I said to all of your fans that was in that live, I was like, he's not going to drop him out of principle. And yeah, he was outstanding. You know, I think. But for me, the Kulu thing. Kulu for me, I like, as a purist, he's a great footballer technically. You know, like, you know, I think. Heavily left-footed, but can use both his feet. He's not got the most amount of pace, but he doesn't need it. I think what he has on Saka is like the IQ. Like, he's more developed. He's like his decision making with the ball, I think, is more efficient. But what I would say, I think I would love to see what Saka's output would be if he had Kane and Son as partners. And not Lacazette and Martinelli. Martinelli, who's developing as well. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Like, I think it's easy to say that, yeah, Kulu's better at this stage. But I think if you look at what he's working with in terms of like a trio, because he is part of a front three, we're talking about two world-class players. That's a massive help to him, you know. Like I think he has to perform like this for the rest of this season for me to sit down and feel like there's a conversation. But I would say Saka's proved it in this league a bit longer, you know. Like, but look, regardless of that, yeah, I think he's brilliant, and I think him coming made the difference. Like, if you look at Kane and Son's form before he came in, they were both in a bit of a rush.
They were tired.
Yeah,
He was
were in
getting
a rush.
getting a bit too bland for them. And then
he came in, and not only was he a difference maker in terms of like providing goals and assists, it's almost like he helped them connect with each other as well. So he's become the conduit between the whole front three, like, and that is actually the dangerous thing about Tottenham at the moment, from an Arsenal fan perspective. Like,
I was going to ask you, are you worried? Because obviously, I believe you had Chelsea out of the top four, if I'm not wrong. But obviously, Chelsea sort their stuff out. Are you worried that Spurs will still end up being above you? Because I think Spurs look fantastic in general.
If I'm being honest, yeah, like in the top four race at the moment, the team that worries me at the moment is Spurs. As much as I say,
I think what else should worry you is the signing.
It was a dumb prediction, man. I think that was a dumb prediction.
What else should be worrying for you, GK, is the fact that the signing that we made yesterday, Destiny Udogie, from the Italian league,
from Udinese,
Destiny from Udinese. Yeah. He was the second most contributed fullback in the Italian league behind Perisic, funny enough. And he's a signing at the age of 21 that's a Conte signing. So that tells me
he's 19,
is there for the longer term. So for me as a fan to see that, because I know for a fact we wouldn't have gone for a player of his ilk beforehand in the Italian league if it wasn't for Conte. So for me and us fans, we're so happy that a signing like that has come into place, because he doesn't come back until next season after his loan. So for us as fans, we're like, this is a long-term project for Conte, which at one point against Burnley, I thought he was going to go. I thought he was gone. So yeah, I'm looking forward to a long-term project as a fan.
All right, Keisha,
I think we're not going to have time. I just want to say, yeah, like you did do well against Southampton, like. But
GK, I'm going to move on. Sorry to interrupt you, bro. Just because we still haven't spoken about Man City or West Ham. So let's just get onto that. And obviously, we'll talk about Werner leaving to RB Leipzig quickly as well. But listen, obviously, fantastic win for Spurs as well. The guys have covered most of it. I just want to add quickly that I'm happy for Sessegnon. The guy's coming to a big club. Obviously, a big move for him on a personal level. Obviously, you mentioned the game against Liverpool, where he was absolutely sensational. In general, he's been extremely unfortunate with injuries. So hopefully, this could be the catalyst in the season for him that he actually gets a run of game in the first team. But Lawless, let's talk about West Ham against Man City. As I said in the chat, a loss is a loss. You lost. It's as simple as that. I don't care who it's against. You lost the game. It's as simple as that.
Don't try and bring me down to your level. Don't you try it.
Listen, going to King, am I wrong? A loss is a loss, innit? Am I wrong? He lost, I lost. You know, obviously we lost to Brighton. Obviously you lost to Man City, but it is what it is, man. You didn't get 3 points. You didn't get 1 point. You got nothing. So that's the way I see it. But Lord, jokes aside, you know, what are your thoughts on West Ham? Opening game, didn't really expect much from that game anyways. Haaland happened to have turned up and silenced the haters. And well done for kickstarting his season, because he's going to be ruthless now. But yeah, from a West Ham perspective, what are you saying?
Yeah, look, I said before that I didn't think we were ready for the season and we would start slowly. Look, regardless, this is Man City. It was the Highland show. We probably would have lost anyway, but I think we could have given them a better game. And that was the thing. Like, it was for a West Ham fan to watch. It was so boring. It made me do that. I was doing that whilst wearing this plastic thing on my head to try and stop getting skin cancer, because the sun was beaming down on us. So it was horrible. It was just a horrible day out, like match day. But yeah, it was boring because we had that spell at the beginning, and then it was just cruise control for him, and we were so like. We just didn't create anything. That was the big problem. We had some issues before the game. Obviously, we had one fit centre back, having to play Ben Johnson, the right back, in centre back with Zuma. Then we have flipping Fabianski go off injured during the game. which I think look, I really rate Areola, and I think he should be our starting goalkeeper. But he weren't expecting to play that day.
Yeah, of
Comes
course.
on, almost immediately flip in. I know everyone was on this case, gives away the penalty, which I can't really blame him too much for.
I mean,
The
what else
pass,
was he meant to do in that scenario? Like, come on,
yeah.
bro. Being so hard.
The ball comes out, but Haaland's pace and the pace on the ball, he just he's thinking he's going to get to it. Haaland gets to it, goes over, and he does what he does. The pass should have been cut out, and it was the same. It was almost identical. Both assists for Haaland was almost identical, and we just watched that ball roll past. Creswell was shocking, absolutely shocking. Don't want to see him.
What's happened to Creswell, by the way? Because obviously I'm a big fan of his, but since that Europa League game where he literally cost you the game, and just that period where he got, if I'm not wrong, he got like sent off twice, like
Yeah.
in that spell. He's kind of just fallen off a cliff. Is he getting to the end of his age or like?
Yeah, but look, he's 32 years old. He's always been a little bit more of a forward-thinking left back than a defensive left back. Even though he has played for us in a back three and he's done a decent job there, he's still not someone that you want, especially against Man City, where you're going to be under pressure defending. So yeah, I think he's just coming to that stage of his career where he doesn't need to be our first choice left back. We need another left back in. Maxwell Cornet, I think, would have made a big difference, not to the result, but to the performance. I think he is exactly the type of player that we were missing in that game. Someone who can be direct, who has pace, who has skill. I think he would have really made the game a lot more interesting. Antonio was poor, but he doesn't seem fit. He went off injured. It was honestly, round me, everyone was on his case. Everything that he did, he was just getting slated. And then the bright spark was Scamacca coming on. And I mean, he lifted the crowd. And listen, right, I was on another show. And my guy Tobes was saying, "Oh, you're overhyping, you're waxing lyrical about him, blah blah." And I'm like, "But listen, we've been starving for strikers. We're starving. This is striker number 50. This is striker number 50. Yeah, that Golden Sullivan have signed, and hardly any of them have 10 goals. Some of them don't have 10 goals between them." So we've been crying out, and he comes on. Oh my God. And this is when I look at this, right, and I was thinking of Daniel, who's not here today, when he was talking about that Haller comparisons, and I was a Haller fan. To me, he did not look anything like Haller. This guy, come on, he's passing and moving. He's spraying balls out to the wings, running into the box, linking up, making things happen. The energy. He's picking up the ball deep and just passing and really just sparking our attack. Like, oh my God, we haven't had this. So I don't get that. He was even holding up the ball. Well, he apparently can't do.
He can hold up the ball.
Clearly, he was holding up the ball. So
I'm actually annoyed we let you have it.
yeah,
I'm
because
really annoyed.
Arsenal,
Infuriated me.
Man United, like Chelsea.
We needed a striker as well, so I don't know why.
You need a striker. Chelsea need a striker.
Chelsea desperately need a striker. Like, we've got Ronaldo still.
Yeah.
They ain't got nothing.
But how are you going for Arnautovic when Scamacca was available for 30 mil?
Listen, Arnautovic, can we not mention his name? He's a freak. He's like, I'm so happy. The first thing I checked when I woke up was like, please, Lord, tell me this deal is on. And obviously it came later in the day.
I'm so, and this is the thing, like, Scamacca, he hasn't really had a full preseason. He's only just signed for us. He was probably going to have come on in the 80th minute. He was probably going to have 10 minutes or something.
He
was a baller. He had to come on a lot earlier. And he had to make things happen because no one else was. Lanzini was shocking, man. He was shocking. Fornals was shocking. Like, there was no crazy. He had to take the game by the scruff of the neck and try to make things happen. He nearly got a goal. A great header. Maybe it was offside, whatever, but it was our shot on target. So him with Cornet and hopefully we get another attacking midfielder. I'm excited. This is, if we can have some time and adapt to the league, finally. But yeah, we need a lot.
Take Bruno Fernandes, please, I beg. I better just take him. I've had enough. Honestly, God,
We were supposed to get him before you, funnily enough.
the thing is, right, he's been good for us, right? I'm not gonna lie, but I've actually had enough. I'm the kind of player that I like stylistic players. Ozil's my guy. He's been since day dot. Ozil's always been. When I think number 10, I think Mesut Ozil, and we've got the opposite of this blood clot. We've got bloody decks, man. But I think you guys, Lolas, you guys are similar. I know this is a random shout, but. And I don't think it'll ever happen. But I think you need someone like James Rodriguez in there, like just a number 10 to get the ball and obviously play football. Obviously, Odegaard do brilliant for
The
Arsenal.
thing is, they have a number 10 in Ben Rama. Ben Rama, when he came on for the last,
but he doesn't like him though. He doesn't like him.
Why doesn't he play him as a 10 though? He plays him on the wing. Yeah. And I think he would be so much better playing as a 10.
He obviously doesn't like him though, because he doesn't get run of games, and when he plays well, he gets benched. So
he came on and was and he came on and was starting to make things happen.
Good. Yeah, he was impressive.
Yeah. Granted,
he's a good player. He's another good player, man.
He is
I'd
good.
sooner play him than Fornals or Lanzini.
But this is the thing. Yeah, our fans make me laugh because he come on. What is it, like 55 minutes, 60 minutes? And, he tried to make things happen. It gave us a lift with Scamacca, created a few things. People are just slating him like he's been shit. Like he had a shit game. When Fornals and Lanzini were awful, anonymous, no criticism. People were having a go at Ben Rama because he went to a flipping concert after the game.
Notice, that's what it's like. Welcome to the world of being in that bracket of that kind of player. Like those players always get picked on, man. Like the amount of times that certain individuals get scapegoated by fan base. I mean, I can go on about Pogba until my face is blue, but at the end of the day, when he leaves and you're still shit, they'll realize, because the same happened with Sebastian Haller. Obviously, it's happening with Ben Rama, and it's gonna happen.
But Barry, we're selling Ben Rama.
I've seen. That's what I was about to say to you. He's
gone on loan. Ben Rama.
Lanzini will give you nowhere near 38 games a season. It's good. Like he's a good squad player, and Fornals is kind of similar as well. So Ben Rama's the one that gives you. He's got the capacity to play the most. He can play across the line as well. I would keep him.
He had something like, what was it, like something like 8 goals, 11 assists or something last season. Like respectable bait, because I had this debate on our show where my guy Nicky was going. I said, you're talking about him as if he had like 1 goal last season, as if he'd done fuck all. I said he had the 3rd highest goal contributions for us last season. Yeah, he maybe didn't set the world alight and was like this player that everyone's talking about, but he had a decent season, not starting every game. That AFCON disrupted him. I think that knocked him because he had an issue with the manager. The Algeria manager didn't like him. Didn't play him, then they get knocked out. He comes back, and it just killed his momentum. And he's a confidence player. I really, truly believe he's a confidence player. So I really want to see him succeed. And our fans need to get off his back. But we need, regardless, we need depth. We need to be keeping Ben Rama.
What I was going to say about West Ham's season last season, like you've got to almost judge it from that lack of depth perspective. Do you know what I mean? And what it does to a team. Like if a player's playing through the red zone throughout the season, I feel like this is what annoys me about like how we're judged as well. Like, you know what I mean? Like our squad was too small to be doing what it was trying to do, which was get top 4. Yours was in Europa League, right in the depth of it, had an injury crisis or a number of players, and the squad was way too small. You almost didn't expect to get Europe. The season before last, like, oh God, we got it. Now we've got like that step up that you needed to take to get 5 or 6 players, to have enough players, depth and quality wise, to be able to spin 4 plates. You just didn't. So going into that season, players like Ben Rama are going to be playing through the red from like February, January. You know what I mean? Antonio playing through the red from like probably.
Antonio was finished, man. Yeah. Honestly,
he was finished. He was done by Christmas.
Lawless, you need a good few signings. I mean, Vlasic, who's on the bench, is now gone. If Ben Rama then goes, you've then got a bench of the likes of Coventry, Randolph, Ashby, Downs, Scamacca, and it might be Antonio longer term, right? That is a poor bench.
Five
really poor bench. Yeah, so you need. I know Downs might be a really good signing longer term because he had a really good season in the Championship, and it'll take him a bit of time. But you need players that are ready made, like especially if you're looking to break that top 6 in particular. You haven't got time to wait for a Downs that in 2 seasons
Or try and win the Conference League
might be quality.
as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
If they're serious about winning the Conference League, I think West Ham should be. You know what I mean?
Like the Benrahma one again is a joke. If he lets him go to Benrahma, not on a sale but as a loan, that for me
my God.
is
if he lets him go alone, that's embarrassing. Yeah,
I don't care. I will go off if he I was already like, why are we loaning? Like, yeah, granted you don't fancy Vlasic, but it's an option for 15 mil. If it was an obligation for 15 mil, I understand. Okay, we get that, but it's an option. So if they say, nah, we don't fancy it, we're back with him, and we've missed him for a season when we could have had him. Benrahma,
we had that with Torreira,
You're paying some of Vlasic's wages.
We had exactly that with Torreira.
Yeah, I think we are paying a good portion of and that's the thing. So Benrahma, like if we let Benrahma go, we need a winger / midfielder, attacking midfielder of quality to come in, because I think Cornet is going to make that left wing position his own. I think he's going to start that. He can play up top. He can play like left wing back if we want to play that. But left wing is going to be made his own. I would love to see Benrahma in that 10 and competing with Fornals. Lanzini should be a bit part player. But apparently it seems like the next signing we're getting is a centre back to deal with that crisis.
Yeah, and then a left back. PSG.
I think you need a bit more depth. I think you need a bit more depth in central midfield as well. Like Rice and Souček. Again, if there's the 2 epitomes of what I just said about players playing in the red, is those 2. Like those 2 and Antonio, for me, played way too many games without being rotated last season.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's why we was obviously looking at Onana, but 20 years old, 70k a week, 30 odd million. That's like one for the future, and I think that's a lot to pay on a gamble. So we definitely need to look at someone like Kish was saying, Downs. He could be good, he could come good, but I don't expect him to be the article now that's really going to push Souček and compete.
But that's the other thing, Lawless. If you want to be a big club and you want to act like a big club, you will pay that 30-40 million plus for a squad player. I assume Arsenal paid 35-40 million for Vieira, who, let's be honest, he might not be a guaranteed start because he won't start ahead of Odegaard, I doubt, anyways, as that creative number 10. And we've signed Richarlison, so he'll either be Richarlison or Kulusevski. So you will always have someone of that kind of quality on the bench.
Yeah, but the difference is, I've lost the key. The difference is with Richarlison, though, where the hell did I put that? Is that he is ready now. Like he's proven, so he's like a proven player in the whereas I feel like Onana was a bit of a risk. Like
Vieira isn't though. Vieira's not proven for Arsenal. They've still splashed out 35.
Yeah, but the difference is with West Ham and Arsenal. Obviously, Arsenal have the luxury with the funds that they've got. West Ham, I think their budget is a lot more.
I don't know, because if you look at financial fair play side of things, I know it doesn't really matter these days, but West Ham's net spend over the last 5 years hasn't really been that bad at all. So if they wanted to splash out in a window, they could spend
that's just not where I'd splash out. Though I'd rather save that money. Is on a left back. I would rather put that money.
That comment quality.
I think
lost the key to put the light on.
Vieira's got the Champions League experience, like the experience in Europe a bit more. But yeah, I get what Kiss is saying. I think I think
to strengthen our weakest. We need to strengthen our weakest areas first, right? Okay, I get we need depth in that centre midfield, but we need improvement on the left back position, like massively. We need improvement in the creative midfielder position, right? So
I've got an option for you, Loris. I think Luke Shaw and Scott McTominay will solve all your issues. Buy one, get one free. Phil Jones to sort this out and buy your shot as well.
It's so funny.
Buy 2, get 1 free, yeah?
We got Davinson Sanchez available on the cheap as well. If you need
I just say, you know what? Quickly.
I'll take take Pepe, man. Take Pepe whilst you're at it.
I'm trying to think, Kish, right? Usman, quickly. When you say that, like what players I would really take from Manchester United?
None.
There's not
Oh, listen, Sancho.
You
won't
take
get to
Phil
Europe.
Jones. You take
Sancho.
Phil Jones.
No,
You
I
take
said
him.
I would take Phil Jones on loan as like a
You did actually, to be fair, and I said to you, you can have him
to
for free
plug a gap.
permanently.
He's got a year
But
left on his contract. There is no year loan. It's you just take him.
Sancho,
Listen,
Sancho,
I
I
know
would take
everyone's
as a
slagging
backup to
Sancho off. There
Bowen.
were people slagging him off in the chat as well, which is fine. I get it. He's not doing well at Man United as it currently stands. But for me personally, having followed him for a long time at Dortmund, I genuinely believe in this kid's ability. So, of course, he needs to hit the ground running. I'm not denying that.
But he would be a backup to Bowen. Let's be real.
Yeah,
He
will
would be
fuck?
backup.
Watch
What?
it and just watch he gets scored. You'll find out. I'll remember you said
3
that. But
Premier
listen,
League goals since he's
don't
been
worry,
in.
he'll come good. I believe in my boy Sancho.
Who
Yeah, right
you
now he would
taking
be.
to the World Cup, Bowen or Sancho?
Bowen.
Listen, as it currently stands, Bowen, yeah, I'm not going to be deluded about it.
Right,
But
I thought you was.
yeah, I'm not going to be deluded. But I was going to just say Sancho to piss you off there. But listen, we need to speak about Chelsea because we literally never mentioned him. Obviously, regarding Man City, there's not really much to say. Haaland's done what he does. We'll speak about Man City.
All we can say though is people was getting a little. Some people was having him
people
third,
get
fourth. People
people
were
get
getting
too
carried
carried
away
away. People get way
because
too
they
carried about
sold some
Haaland.
players.
Yeah.
This is what I've said to people. I said to my guy Nicky, yeah, who had him third, right? And I'm like, do you not really, like, Pep knows what he's doing. Do you think he's letting these players go if he thinks out like, yeah, like, you know what I mean, we're gonna be screwed without him? He'd keep Sterling, he'd keep Jesus. He knows what he has a plan.
And do you know what the
He's the best
scariest
manager in
thing
the
is,
world.
Loris? You know the scariest thing is Man City didn't even play that well. They didn't even go past like first or second gear. They
No,
had
they didn't.
terrible
They don't
times.
start well, Man
Well,
City.
they lost the ball in that second half. Even De Bruyne was losing the ball and giving it away to your midfielders. Now imagine
now they've
after
got that
a few games
clinical
time
team.
with that clicking. I mean, look at Haaland's run. I know it's not the best of defending, don't get me wrong, but that pass, that he didn't even need to touch it because of the ball from De Bruyne, and he just knows where the back of the net is. Everyone who said that it will take him time to settle has not watched that guy play properly in the last 2-3 years. Sometimes you know a player is literally certain to bag you goals, and Haaland is in that category. I have no doubt in my mind. End of the season,
Hasn't he scored on his debut for every professional club he's played for?
Yeah,
And at
you just
international
know. It's
level as well.
inevitable. It is inevitable that he will bag loads of goals.
Listen, I'm gonna move on from there because, like I said, I don't want to dwell on City because we've never mentioned Chelsea. And to be fair,
Not much to say about him, really. Boring game. Boring.
I can sum them up in 2 words.
The perfect segue is the fact that Chelsea don't have someone that guarantees goals. If anything, that's one of their biggest issues. Of course, they did win 1-0. It wasn't very convincing. It seems that, well, Timo Werner has gone back to RB Leipzig as well. Obviously, Havertz hasn't really hit the ground running in general. It's been very stop-start. Lukaku, the less said about him, the better. What is going on with Chelsea? Gunner King or GK? We'll start with you, bro. Obviously, we'll keep it short.
Can I just add, yeah?
Two
The most
words.
entertaining part of that game was Sterling twerking for Mina.
Oh,
that was
geez,
the
my
funniest
God.
shit I've
What
ever
was he
seen
doing,
in my
man?
life.
Why was he arching his back like that?
Two words to sum up Chelsea right now: terrorist footballers. Absolute football terrorists. Yeah, these men are
so dead.
football terrorists, man. I have to apologize. I hate saying this. I think I was being wishful and saying Spurs would get 5th last week, man. But I feel like a right idiot after watching that Chelsea game. They genuinely they need help. Like the thing that I don't understand about Chelsea, right, is, you know, their fans are like, great, we got Cucurella. Cucurella is now the world's most expensive fullback at 62 million, above Hakimi, right? They panic bought, right? The thing is, no one's speaking enough about their panic buying because Man United are taking all that tension away from them, and I don't like it. Yeah, because listen, Man City walked away from this deal because it didn't make financial sense, and they are backed by a state that is filled with oil. Like, imagine that. And they were quoted 50 million. They were quoted 50 million, and they said, "No, we're not paying that." But because Chelsea lost out on Koundé, had been hijacked by Barcelona all summer, Brighton smelt their desperation a mile away. Yeah, and we're like, well, the price was 50 million for City. It's 62 million for you bums. And I love it. It's just put so much pressure on him, right? But looking at that team, right, they buy good players, but how do they have no idea how they're going to fit together. You know, Sterling, the amount of runs I saw him making into the box, no one wanted to find him. They got no striker. They need another centre back. They got no creativity from the right hand side. Kante and Jorginho, they're getting on. And you're seeing the cracks start. Beginning to show with the decline there. Everton had no striker, none. They sold Richarlison. Do you know what I mean? Dominic Calvert-Lewin was injured, and Rondon was suspended. So I'm thinking, Chelsea, they might not put in their best performance, but they relied on a Jorginho penalty to beat these guys. And I know they got a terrible record at Goodison Park. I think they haven't won there in 5 years. Don't know how that record stood the test of time, right? But to go there on their first game, they got the new signings. All right, they've not got all the signings that they need, but they got Koulibaly there, they got Sterling there, they got Mason Mount, they got James, they got Chilwell, they got Mendy, they got Thiago. They got enough good players to go into that game and give and show more. But they're football terrorists. And Tuchel has I feel sorry for Tuchel because he wants to come away from this back three system because that's where the terrorism's coming from. And every time he tries to, right, he realizes he has to rely on Thiago Silva, but Thiago Silva doesn't have the legs to play in a 4. So he's trying to change that part of his team. And the longer he doesn't, the more isolated his forward players are going to be, and the more disjointed his attacking play is going to be. And listen, I am going to put those bums in 5th. I'm sorry, at the moment, I'm going to change that prediction. Whoever gets 3rd or 4th, I don't know. That at the moment, that's between us and Spurs. But if you're telling me,
I think you've spoken too early. I'm not going to lie to you.
That's
Listen, what I will say is, if they go out and get a couple of players, and if I'm backing any team to do it, it'll be them. But going off of what I saw this weekend,
it's too early, bro. It's too early. I understand what you're saying, and I do agree with the football being boring. I do agree with the comments that you made in general. But I just think, for me personally, they've got rid of Timo Werner. Obviously, Lukaku's already gone. I think Werner's a permanent as well, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, yes.
25 million.
They're linked to Fofana, a defense that it doesn't solve their attack issues. But for me, I'd be extremely. I don't know who it's going to be, but I'm going to be extremely surprised if they don't sign 2 attackers or at least a centre. It might be Frankie. It might be Frankie de Jong. Oh, Aubameyang, yeah, exactly. That's a great shout. I think Aubameyang's going to be one, and they might actually get Frankie de Jong because I can't see him coming Man United. I know a lot of Man United fans are still hoping on, but he has to leave Barcelona because they're going to push him out the door. They have to sell the guy. So for me, if I'm Frankie de Jong, go to Chelsea, come in and replace Jorginho. You're going to play week in, week out probably. Obviously, Kovacic, Frankie, they're kind of similar players to an extent. But if they get Frankie de Jong and Aubameyang, I think they get top 4, literally. I think the 2 signings away. I do hear your comments regarding the defense, and he wants to switch to back 4. I do agree with that, but I do think the defense is extremely strong, and I think the defense is going to win them a lot of games this season. They're going to be boring to watch, but they'll get points. Basically,
their defense is strong, right? But what I think where I look at that, right, is for me, it's not just who you sign; it's when you sign them. Yeah, like. These guys are going to come in, like Oba, he's got Premier League experience and he's worked with Tuchel before, right? But for me, they're coming into a system that is just taking shape when the season's already started. And for me, that does not bode well for them. And it just doesn't. I don't know. Like, I've got a feeling about them. I think they need 3. Maybe 4 signings.
To be fair, look at it. Looking at them, their team isn't like massively. You can't look at their team really and say the team now is like significantly weaker than last, because they had these issues last season and they got
Rudiger and Christiansen significantly.
Yeah, fair enough. But I mean, like going forward, attacking.
But then say a Fofana in that team on top just adds to the quality, doesn't it? So
if you had that, that's what I'm saying. Like, obviously, still we're all looking at them and we're not heavily criticizing their defense. It's their attack, right? They had these issues going forward before, and I think obviously they, like Usman said, I don't see them letting Werner go if they aren't confident they're getting an attacker in. And I hear what you're saying. Yeah, they're going to come in late, but I feel like you're getting a Aubameyang in. That is the type of player that they've needed.
That's 20 goals there, Aubameyang.
Yeah, and a clinical that's what they've been missing. Someone who is clinical, who knows where the goals are, and then someone there who can play. Like Sterling now has someone there who can take the burden off and he can play with. They need some players that they can't be playing Mount on the wing. That's just not working. I think he's an effective
Oh,
player for them, but he
exactly.
can't be playing on the wing. If they address those points, they've got Tuchel is a good manager. He's a
He is.
quality manager. We know that,
He is.
and I think he can weather a lot of the issues. They have some good young players as well that potentially they could turn to. So right now it's looking shaky for sure, but I expect them to do. They're probably not going to address everything, but I expect
That's
them
my
to
point.
address. Yeah,
Yeah,
I expect them to address
if they
enough
don't
to get forward.
address the issues, GK, I think you're spot on. To be honest, it's just I'm expecting
Which
them to
team didn't address all of their issues last season with a central midfielder and
No,
thought they
but
could cope with
they're
making
like
quality signings in other areas? And
no,
what
but
happened?
let's be real. No, but let's be real. They're
They
like
didn't address it this season either.
light years apart. Like light years apart.
I think
So,
Chelsea are two players. I think Aubameyang and a centre mid. I think they're good, personally.
yeah, I think that will be enough. It's not like listen, like we're not
We're only
talking
talking
about
top four. We're not talking about
we're
the
not
league.
talking about Chelsea challenging. Which like I said, last season they finished third. We're talking about enough to get them fourth when they got third last season. Two players helps them get that comfortably, in my
The
opinion.
thing is that why shouldn't we? Because if you look at it last season, everyone said Chelsea were a goal scorer away from winning the league. That's what everyone said, and that's what Lukaku was supposed to do. So look, Rudiger's gone, Lukaku's gone, and Werner's gone. So essentially, majority of the squad, the fullbacks of Chilwell, James, and now Cucurella is still there. If you get Aubameyang, and you get an Aubameyang who at Arsenal at times was a 20-goal a season man, so if you give him chances that Lukaku had, he'd probably score them. You give him a Frankie de Jong, who instead of
If they get Frankie de Jong, I'm telling you,
why can't we then? Why can we say that Tuchel just gets away with top four? How is that right?
The thing about Over as well, right? What people forget about his time at Arsenal and Barcelona, he's great for getting goals. He's great for finishing, right? But in terms of if he doesn't score, he does not impact games. And on top of that, what he does not do is link up the play with the other players around him.
But neither did Lukaku.
I don't think he's.
Lukaku. So what I'm saying is,
exactly. I don't think he's the right profile of striker for them. I actually don't.
What I'm saying to you, GK, is if it's not like the Arsenal team where if he doesn't get the goals, there's nothing else. At Chelsea, they've got a full squad with the wing backs and the central midfielders and your Havertz and Mount that will get the goals contribution. So it's not just
they will supply him.
So if he then gets if you can guarantee for Aubameyang that you will get him service inside the box, he will score 20 plus goals. Like it will happen. And whenever he signs for a club initially, he showed it Arsenal, he showed it Dortmund. He always has a spurt of goals where the first season and a half, he's phenomenal. That's what happens. So if they end up getting him and they give him the opportunities in the box where they should with those wing backs that they have, then I don't see why we shouldn't be talking about Chelsea saying, forget top four. That's not enough. If Chelsea get top four this season, no trophy, you can't tell me that that's a success for Chelsea.
No,
it's 200 million plus. How does he get away with that? How does he get away with that?
But that's what I'm saying. We're not saying that's what they should aim for. Like if they do it, I feel like they'll comfortably get top four. It's poor for them, but let's be real. Tuchel, and it's like even GK was saying about obviously feeling he should feel a bit hard done by, because look how many of these players aren't his players. Like he's dealing with Lampard players, he's dealing with Conte players, but even some Sarri players. Like for someone who has come in and done what he's done, to still not have a squad in his image, like you were saying, GK, about wanting to play this back four and all of this stuff, like he still can't do what he wants to do, so he's having to make do. So I wouldn't even consider sacking him if he just gets fourth and no trophy this season.
No way.
No
way. If they sack him, they deserve everything they get as a footballer.
Yeah. Bowley
I don't know.
needs to
I just personally think that
build
a manager who won the Champions League within the first 6 months of his tenure to then just get fourth and no trophy, nothing.
Do you not feel like he overachieved with that Champions League though, Kish? Like that was an overachievement, especially where they was. No one was expecting him from the Lampard.
No, I agree. It was an overachievement, but then you've also got to appreciate when you do win those accolades and you do win those trophies, you then do put pressure on yourself. That's just what happens in management.
I
He should
get
do
that.
that.
But
He should realise that.
they allowed him
The
to
minute
sign 2
Arteta won
players.
the FA Cup at Arsenal in his first season, the pressure was on from the minute go because that's
Was
the
it?
expectation.
Was it?
Nah.
It
It has to
was-
be
but the
If
thing is,
anything, it buys
they
you
allowed him.
time.
They allowed him
It buys
2
you time.
signings, Saul and Lukaku. Is that enough after he's inherited a squad, won the Champions League? 2 players isn't going to make the squad his own. Do you know what I mean? Even the players he signed in this window, is that making his squad his own? Squad building in this day and age for our clubs, like the big 6, it is 2-3 iterative cycles, like of summer windows, because the cost, the outlay, and with what Chelsea spend on players, and this is at their own detriment. So maybe that puts the pressure on them a bit more than Arteta, right? But yeah, like I still like Lawler said, that squad is the remnants of 3 of the previous managers, and none of them fit his system. And there should be more pressure on Chelsea because they are Chelsea and what they've achieved. But at the same time, I do still think Tuchel isn't the problem. The way their club was.
Yeah, let's
Do you
not
know what I
forget they're transitioning to a different owner who's their last owner had to be ejected out of the club quick time. This new guy's come in. There's no structure in place. They've got this American who don't know too much about football having to come and do the deals and all of that because he hasn't been able to put that structure in place. And Tuchel is under that. So there's a lot of variables, I think,
You
that
got
have
you
to be
yeah.
considered.
You've got to
I just think at the moment, if you look at their signings so far, Koulibaly, Sterling, and who's the other one? Cucurella. That's an outlay of about 140, 150 million. Then you get Frankie de Jong. That's 200 million plus.
Yeah,
then
but he
there's
hasn't
still
got the case. He hasn't got them yet.
No, he hasn't. But what I'm saying is,
If
generally
you get
speaking,
Frankie de Jong and Aubameyang, those 5 players, I do agree with you. There should be somewhat expectation.
So if a manager in one transfer window gets to spend 200 to 250 million, I know that there's net spend and all that, but in terms of actual expenditure, he spends between 200 to 250 million. And you're telling me that if he just gets top 4 alone, that still means that he should be a job.
That's not acceptable.
I don't agree with.
No, he could win he probably wins.
That's a lot of money, guys. That is a lot of money.
That is a stupid amount.
He's not. Let's be real. He's not going to challenge.
No, just one second. Let me just add to balance it out, obviously, with the kid. I think for me personally, right, the one thing I will say is, although you guys have made very valid points regarding his squad, obviously it's not he's inheriting players, potentially some of which he doesn't want, they don't suit the system, etc. But as Kisha said, if he gets a Aubameyang, de Jong as well, on top of Koulibaly, Sterling, and Cucurella, if you actually name them all out loud, those 5 signings alone should help them close the gap on the back of what they've already got. For me personally, right, I understand that Liverpool and City are very high up, and I understand that it's going to be extremely difficult to catch them. But you can't spend 250 million on top of the players they've already got. Havertz was at 80 million. I know it's maybe not his player, but still, they've got a lot of quality in that team, and he has to be doing more with that team.
Havertz is not quality. Come on, man.
You know what? This is what I said about Chelsea all along, right?
They've got 50 million fullbacks. Chilwell was 50 million from Leicester. Chilwell was 50 million.
I made a video, right? I made a video about Cucurella, saying that Chelsea fans, you've overpaid for him. Put on my TikTok. Naturally, all these kids come along and they're like, have you not understood what Chelsea do? We spend money and win trophies. And I'm like, all right, but let's break it down like this, yeah? At the moment, yeah, the last time you got a 90-plus points tally and won the league was under Conte, yeah? That was 2017. Now, if we looked at every single expensive, lavish purchase, every final piece in the jigsaw, yeah, I put in inverted commas, that you've bought since Conte left and now, for you to never even be near those 2 clubs, but just turn around and say, but the Champions League, is that even enough? Do you know what I mean? What I was saying about Liverpool earlier, like, they turn around to me and they're like, yeah, but you ain't won the Champions League. And I'm like, yeah, but if you actually deep that, yeah, if I was to list every single player they bought since Conte's left, and to say to you that they've not come close domestically, they've bottled 7 finals since 2017. Domestically, they've not been anywhere near Liverpool and Man City. Is that enough? that Champions League, the Club World Cup, and the Super Cup.
It isn't at all.
So maybe I'm going to side with Kish on this. You know what I mean?
I personally think
they do get away with it a lot.
He has to win silverware. I'm sorry, like, okay, I'm not going to sit here and say he should be winning the league. I don't expect him to win the league. I think the top four, yeah, probably realistic. But he has to win some form of silverware. As we've mentioned, obviously, spent a lot of money. The club has spent a lot of money. Similar to Manchester United, you know, obviously, granted, there's a lot of issues with the squad and XYZ's inheriting an absolute shit show. But for me, Team Tuchel inherited wasn't actually that bad of a team. He did sign Lukaku himself. Whether it was his signing or not, it remains to be seen. I'm assuming it's not, but nevertheless, he did sign Lukaku for 100 million. It's not worked out for him. He's got rid of him. For me, if he brings in Aubameyang and Frankie De Jong on top of Koulibaly and Sterling, a trophy and top four is absolutely minimum. I'm talking about top players here. Aubameyang, as Kish rightly said, completely agree with everything you said on Aubameyang. Granted, long run, as you said, it might not suit them, but the shirt to him, even at Barcelona when he initially joined them this season in January, that's just gone. He had a fantastic start. But listen, we're gonna wrap it there because we've actually gone over by 20 minutes, which I do apologize to our guests because I know it's a bloody work there. But listen, just want to say a massive thank you to everyone that has tuned in. Please feel free to slap a like and subscribe to thy channel. As always, we are here once a week, obviously covering the Premier League stuff. And also tomorrow we will be back with a Manchester United podcast. I know it's been a while. Haven't done the season predictions after this weekend's result, and that might change slightly. But obviously we'll get through that. Myself and AG will be here to cover all things Manchester United. As the guys are saying, great show. And obviously subscribe to thy channel. Regarding myself, you can feel free to follow me on Usman Talk Tonight on Twitter, TikTok, and all things, you know, football, basically social media platforms. Kish, let the people know where they can find you, my guy.
Yeah, Instagram, Twitter, all the socials at Kishindu. Please like, subscribe, share, retweet, all the good stuff. You don't understand how much it helps the channel, Usman Talks United. And yeah, like I said, we've got daily, weekly content coming up. Rival Fans podcast every Tuesday night from 9 p.m. So yeah, please join in. And we always try and share as many of your questions and kind of any debates that you have that you'd like us to chat about.
Absolutely. I've just been cooked for the first 25 minutes by Arsenal fans in the chat, to be fair. But listen, it's all love. Arsenal's week will be next week, so don't worry, we will get you that as well. And speaking of Arsenal, so I don't even know who Arsenal have got this week, actually. I've not even looked at the fixtures properly.
Leicester at home.
Right. That Tottenham Chelsea game I didn't mention, by the way, but I'm looking forward to that one. But Gunner King, let the people know where they can find you, my bro.
Yeah, Gunner King 14 on Twitter, on TikTok as well. I am on Instagram, CKJNR. Like, the easiest thing to do is to go to the link tree in my Twitter bio. It's got all of my socials there. Co-founding member of the Armory TV. So you can find me there on the YouTube channel as well. Yeah, gonna be starting my own channel soon as well. But yeah, like, those are the main places: Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, and the YouTube channel as well.
You love to see it. Last but not least, from his car that's gone off twice. We love to see it. Lawless, thank you firstly for obviously making time as always, my guy. But where can the people find you, bro?
Yeah, and at the Lawless on Twitter is like the main place you get me there. You can get me everywhere. West Ham Fan TV, check out. You can also see me every Tuesday or Monday, depending on when Matisse uploads the video, on the MAH London Clubs Carnage show with myself, Dan Potts, Tobes, and Matisse going head to head on the London Clubs thing. So, but the latest episode's out now, where I cook toast as I do every week.
What are you cooking, a Tottenham fan, by the way? What are you saying?
No, like, the guy just talks so much. He you know, I have to put him in his place. I have to let him know, you know, he's talking nonsense, and I just deal with him. He just gets dealt with. He tries to come for me, and I swat him away every time. He'll say something different, but he talks shit.
Okay, there you go. He talks shit. Make sure you tune in for that as well if you want to watch more shit talking, which is basically what we do here. But listen, as always, slap a like, subscribe to the channel if you've enjoyed, obviously, the content. Make sure you follow the boys, including myself, on socials. Apart from that, back tomorrow, 9 o'clock with Nate G, talking all things Manchester United, and hopefully